All right. So you can see here with my activity graph on school, I have only missed about 10 days in the past like 10 months, um, which is pretty good consistency, you know? So since January this year, I haven't missed a single day of doing at least 10 activities a day. So quite consistent since then. There are some days in here, you know, this is a 1,000 activities, 500. I think there are some that I got over 2,000 as well. Um, so I'm quite active as well, right? It's not just like me doing 10 activities a day, obviously. And this consistency, not everybody is at this level, but I just want to quickly go over how I actually got to this point and how you can actually do it as well and get to the point where doing this is actually easier than not doing this, which might seem a bit crazy right now if you're inconsistent with this kind of stuff. But you can actually get to the point where being really, really consistent is actually easier than being inconsistent. So, a few things that you need to do. First one is get very clear on the habit itself, like what it is, why it's important, your target for it, as in like how much you want to do it each day or how consistent you want to get with it, ideally in the future. And then you want to get very, very clear on the starting level for the habit. So how much you're going to do of it right now, like today, or how consistent you're going to be with it right now. And the reason you need all of that information is because you first need to get very, very clear on what it actually is, so you know what you're doing and how to do it. Then you need to get clear on the like why it's important, basically to give you a reason to actually stay consistent with it. Because you can really just choose any habit if you want to work on getting consistent with it, but actually staying consistent with it long term, you do really need a reason to do it. It's very, very difficult to force yourself to do a habit that you don't really think benefits you. So you need that why or the reason behind it. Then the goal and the starting level help to start to flesh out the actual journey you're going to go through and what you need to do to actually build the habit. And that's where the second step comes in, which is using what I've called the incremental increase method. And if you're at all familiar with like exercise in the gym, you'll understand the idea of progressive overload. And basically, the incremental increase method is just progressive overload, but for your habits. Um, Pretty simple if you understand that, but if you don't, the idea is that you start with a level that is, for habits, it's slightly different to progressive overload. You want it to be pretty easy at the start and like just outside your comfort zone, right? Just barely. So you can do it every day pretty comfortably. And the goal is to be able to do it every single day, like, even if your day is going pretty badly. Like even sort of worst case scenario, you miss your routine, something bad happens, you just sort of waste time, you get distracted. You should still be able to do the habit. That's the sort of starting level you want to be at. Then what you want to do is plan out over the next, let's say, few months, how you're going to increase the habit. Because obviously you don't want to stay at this level forever. You want to increase it to that target that you've already set. And that means generally every 2 to 4 weeks, you want to increase the amount of time you're spending on the habit, how difficult it is, or however you're increasing it, right? And when I actually work with clients, what we do is we create basically a spreadsheet where we've got it all split up into 2 week segments where we put in basically the exact level for all the habit, for every single habit they're doing, for all of those time periods. So you can see over 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, you know, all the way up to multiple months, when they're actually increasing the habit difficulty or time and by how much. And so getting very clear on that then gives you a bit of a roadmap or an idea about where you're actually going when you're increasing it and that kind of stuff. Then, third thing, tracking. So you need to set up a habit tracker, right? It can be very, very simple at the start. You can do some slightly more complicated things. You can, once you're actually consistent with tracking itself, add in a bit more complexity to give you better results long term. But at the start, you do just want to keep it very simple. You can just have, you know, a very simple kind of habit tracker like this, right? This is one of mine that I use for like business actions. It's literally just like a grid with the habits at the top and you just tick them off or cross them off whether you did them or not. Then you can set up something a bit more complicated like this eventually, which is my like main habit tracker. But for now, something very simple on paper works fine. Now, what you're going to do is obviously you're tracking it every single day, whether you did the habit or not. Once you get to 95% or higher consistency over 2 weeks or 4 weeks, depending on how long you're waiting before increasing the difficulty or the intensity or the time. Once you get to that 95% or higher consistency, then you can increase the actual difficulty, right? 95% consistency, to give you a better idea, is like missing 1 to 3 days over a month, okay? So let's say if you're planning to increase it every 2 weeks, if you just miss one day, then you can increase it. If you miss more than one day, you're not allowed to increase it. This helps with making sure you're not going in over your head and sort of, in a way, it's like ego lifting in the gym, but like with your habits, where it's like you're doing habits that are harder than you can actually do consistently right now. And so maybe you can sort of use discipline and just share willpower to do them consistently for like a week or 2 weeks, but then you just fall off. And so you want to just be at the edge of your comfort zone each time you're doing the habit, obviously. So then you extrapolate that over about 3 months, let's say, to get you to the desired level with the habit. Very important thing to keep in mind here is that you don't want to have very many new habits at once. You want to have about 3 to 4 new habits maximum at once, and it's generally better to focus on even less, let's say 1 or 2, and really focus on getting extremely consistent with those. Another benefit of actually focusing on less habits, just because of like the energy and the focus and the time, right? A benefit of it is that you can schedule the habits you're trying to build first thing in the morning to make sure you actually get them done, basically. And you can even put this in front of like deep work, for example, if you're really just trying to build consistency with a certain habit. Because obviously, as you probably already understand, doing things first thing, you've got more focus, more energy, you're less likely to get distracted. If things go wrong in the day, they're less likely to go wrong like first thing. So even if stuff goes wrong later, you get the habit done. And you're just less likely to procrastinate it, right? So better consistency long term. Now, if you implement all of that advice and put it all together and work at that over time, while also making sure with like the fourth thing is really like increasing how easy a habit is, reducing the friction, making it obvious, attractive, all the things that are in Atomic Habits, which is a very good book you should read, by the way. All of those strategies for actually how to make a habit easier to do. You should obviously implement those as well, but that is kind of, in a way, I can make an entire separate video on that, so let me know if you want me to do that. But what I was saying is if you do actually increase your habits over time with all of these things, implement all the advice, then you can actually get to the point where you have consistency like this, right? And you build the identity and the standards. This is the important part. You build the identity and the standards of the kind of person who can actually be consistent with this and do it without that much effort, right? So for me now, it's got to the point where getting my 10 activities a day on school is very easy, and I really want to do it. I do not want to miss it. It's hard for me to miss it. Like, it would be very hard for me to make myself miss a day. It would be harder to do that than it would be for me to just do my 10 activities, right? And so that's the goal. That's the point you want to get to, is where it's automatic and it's part of your identity and standards to the point where you don't want to miss a day. Hopefully this is useful. If you want more advice about this, or those things I'm talking about, how to actually make habits easier or harder, depending on whether you're trying to build or break habits, or a bit more detail on that incremental increase method that I was talking about, then there's a link in the description to actually join this community here, which is my free community, and it's got a course to help you with the productivity and actually getting consistent with, actions such as your school activities or any other habits and things you want to work on, of course, other areas of productivity as well. So there's a link for that. And there's also a link below if you actually want to book a call with me and see how you can get my help one-on-one. Obviously, no pressure if you don't want to do that, completely fine. You can just keep watching some of my videos. And yeah, have an amazing rest of your day.